What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE Reviews. Today I'll be doing a review for The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This will be a spoiler-free review. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you want me to review next. But yeah, this is the new Hunger Games film. I did watch this back when it came out, however I got sick a little bit after that, so I never actually got the review done. Right now I'm like, perfect time to get it done, not as much new stuff coming out at the moment, so good time. So yeah, this is the new Hunger Games film. The genre of this is dystopian action film. It is PG-13 and it was released on November 17, 2023. So it's been out for a good while. I want to see if you can get this on video on demand, probably like on Amazon or something like that. Doubt it's like Amazon Prime, but you can probably like rent it or something like that off Amazon. Now this had a budget of $100 million and it made in the box office $331.6 million, which I think is pretty good considering like it's been a while since we had a Hunger Games film. It didn't have the biggest budget in the world. 100 million still like a lot, but it made triple that, so it's pretty good for it. The director for this is Francis Lawrence, and the cast includes Tom Blythe, Rachel Zegler, Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, Josh Andres Rivera, and Jason Schwartzman. It has a runtime of 157 minutes, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because it's a little bit of a problem for me. And I watched this in Dolby format, and it does not have a post-credit scene. So once the credits start rolling, you can leave right after that. All right, so the plot is the story of Coriolanus Snow years before he became the tyrannical president of Pan Am. So he's young, he's determined, he's trying to get his family out of hard times. And he sees his chance to change his life with this opportunity that shows up at the beginning of this film as being a mentor for the 10th Hunger Games. And then he ends up being the mentor for Lucy Gray from District 12. That's the basic plot of the film. So let's actually now move into my thoughts on the film. Now, I'll start off by saying the movie is way too long. And it's already that it's long, but it's also that it's long and not all the acts work. So I know this is spoiler free, but I'm just gonna tell you what the acts are. So the beginning of it is setting up for the Hunger Games, getting your setup of your characters, getting them all squared away, getting them ready for the Hunger Games. Second act is the actual Hunger Games. And then the third act is the fallout of the Hunger Games. I'm not gonna talk too much about the third act, but I do think that the third act suffers greatly. I actually did not like the third act whatsoever. I thought what you should have done is those first two acts, find a way to make them longer and skip that third act completely. Maybe make it its own movie. It just didn't go well, flow well, in my opinion, with everything else. I actually did enjoy the first hour and a half of this film, which is the first two acts. I thought it was actually really good at that point. Then you add that third part, and it just did not work for me. It actually went downhill very fast to the point where I was like, should I just leave? This isn't fun anymore. And then it hurts as well because we follow Lucy Gray, which is the tribute from District 12. However, she's not all that interesting like Katniss. Katniss I thought was very interesting because you knew she could fight. She could get away with a lot of stuff. She could be in that arena and you'd be like, she's definitely someone that's going to compete. Lucy, you never really get that feeling. And it just doesn't feel the same way with Lucy as it did with Katniss. And Snow just... Another thing with it being negative is Snow's not that interesting of a character because you know where he's going. And it's like, it'd be one thing if you saw him a lot in the original Hunger Games films. But for the most part, he was kind of in the background a lot. You'd see him, but it's not like he had much to do. So it was always like Snow, like you hear about things he did, but you never actually saw most of it. So it was kind of like, it didn't really work with Snow. I think the movie he had the most screen time was probably like the second film. And other than that, like, I don't feel like we really got too much of Snow in those films that it's like, okay, you come back here and everyone's gonna be like, well, this is like his Anakin Skywalker moment. But it was like, but Anakin as Darth Vader was in the original trilogy. You saw a lot of him. You got a lot of interaction with that character. You actually didn't want to see what everyone meant about him being a good character before. It's like, we never heard that Snow was a good guy before. So it's like, it's already hard to buy that he's even good to start. And then the way the movie goes, it's like, is it just some kid that just wants to get rich? It's like, it didn't work the same way like you would have thought something like Anakin Skywalker did. And even then, when the prequels came out for Star Wars, let's admit, a lot of us talk crap about Hayden Christensen's version of Anakin Skywalker. I would say it would help them a lot. Like the character was the Clone Wars TV show. So That was one of my negatives over here. It was like, I don't really see this character. He's not someone I care enough to actually go back and watch his story. And another thing with the bad, and it's like, this is a weird one to say, but new characters from Viola Davis and Peter Dinklage, I actually found them very, very interesting, but they didn't get to show enough of them. Like, we got to see a little bit more of Viola Davis as a crazy mad scientist, but I kind of would have wanted to see a little bit more of her, like, see what other crazy contraptions she would have made. And Dinklage, I felt like him being that hard ass, I thought I wanted to see more with him as well, but they gave them limited time. They weren't really in the third act at all, so it was just like, you have these cool characters, use them. So that's why I said, like, the third act just didn't work, because it felt so out of place for this film. All right, so let's get out of the negatives. Let's now go into the positives. And like I said, the first 2 acts of the film I thought were really good. I was just like, oh, this does remind me of why there's still an inkling of people wanting the Hunger Games. Because the way that you set up the games and then the actual games are usually a lot of fun. And it was also interesting to see this one in a very small arena. It wasn't like these big ass biodomes that we see in the 2012 and I forgot what the other second movie was at. Those had really big like biodomes where they were competing, and those were like really cool. We didn't get to see that here. We got to see like a normal arena, like what you would say like a hockey arena, something like that. It was smaller. There's places to hide and stuff like that, but it's definitely more condensed space. So I did like how that was set up. And then we got to see that the world's in a different place in Pan Am. So in the original movies, like Districts 1 and 2, like there's a hierarchy with the districts that you don't get that much of a sense in this film. Like it felt like the capital is still punishing all the districts, and you don't have like Districts 1 and 2 that are more like, oh no, but they're like the richer districts. Like, I mean, they are richer, but even their tributes, like, oh no, we're not really necessarily sending our best in there. It's like, it's a complete crapshoot of who gets in there. Like, you're getting punished to being sent into the Hunger Games. It's not like in the original where it felt like, oh no, we train people from Districts 1 and 2 to actually go to the Hunger Games. I didn't get that sense in here. It felt like, even if it might have been there, and it's been a while since I've seen the film, it's like, it felt more like everyone was like, the poor group, kids in every group are the ones that went. Alright. And then, like I said, I really like Viola Davis's Gall as like, she's like an evil genius inventor, and I was just like, damn, she crazy. I want to see more of her. That was something like, I really wanted to see more of that character. I wish they would have done more with that. And then finding out the origin of the games, I was just like, whoa, that's pretty dark how that happened. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but like, I actually did like hearing about that. I thought it was very interesting. Like I said, I enjoyed the film for the most part. Until the first 2 acts I really enjoyed. The third act, that just didn't work for me. So let's actually move on to my score, guys. And this one pains me to say, because I actually did watch the other 4 Hunger Games movies after watching this one while I was sick, and I actually really enjoyed them. But this one, I'd be like, if it was just like, I'm going to stop it at once the Hunger Games section ends, yes. Like, the games end, it's like, okay, that's a good movie. However, since the movie kept going, that actually brought my score down. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for okay. Because at the end of the day, I can't just judge it on how it started the race, I have to judge it on how it finished as well. And it was disappointing by the end. I was just like, oh man, you guys had so much you could have worked with, and it just didn't work well at the end. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 for okay. I honestly don't recommend you watch it unless you're a big Hunger Games fan. I can't see like a casual person really liking this too much, so that's my thought. My next review is going to be for Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1. I'm going to be doing that in a newer format that I'll show with the Rick and Morty review if that's not out yet. Where it's going to be, I'm going to have an episode that's spoiler-free, and then an episode where I talk about spoilers. Just because I want to separate them, and I can actually go into detail about the spoilers, which I can't if I'm trying to make these shorter style videos of like less than 15 minutes. So, yeah, guys. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please let me know what you thought about the film if you watched it, and if you didn't watch it, why didn't you? I'm curious why people might have not, why they skipped this film, because going off of like the first 4 movies, that's probably why I watched it, because I was like, oh, let's see what they got now to do with this. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.